Hare Krishna. Welcome to our channel. Bhagavad-gita, here it is, because we have it. Bhagavad-gita as it is. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And my name is Lavanya Latika. Today we will be reading from the 12th chapter, Devotional Service. And we will start with text 2.
Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalang.
So, last time we heard Arjuna ask the question, this is the first verse in this chapter. Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect, those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? So that's a good question for spiritual life, because those are the two main schools or lines or inclinations in spiritual life. So let's hear what Krishna has got to say. I will read the Sanskrit to text 2 of the same 12th chapter. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Veshya Mano Ye Mang Nitya Yukta Upasate Shradhaya Parayopetas Te Me Yukta Tamamataha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be the most perfect. So this is Krishna's consideration, which kind of means this is how it is. Because that's we have already established in the Bhagavad-gita, Krishna's position as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the Supreme Absolute Truth. So when we are aiming for self-realization, for spiritual realization, for God realization, there may be many opinions and many ideas how to do this. But actually Krishna's idea and Krishna's opinion is valid, because Krishna has the full perspective. He knows everything. He knows this Vedic knowledge because it comes from him. And he knows the Supreme Spirit, because that is also him. Purport. In answer to Arjuna's question, Krishna clearly says that he who concentrates upon his personal form and who worships him with faith and devotion is to be considered most perfect in yoga. For one in such Krishna consciousness there are no material activities, because everything is done for Krishna. A pure devotee is constantly engaged. Sometimes he chants, sometimes he hears or reads books about Krishna, or sometimes he cooks prasadam, or goes to the marketplace to purchase something for Krishna, or sometimes he washes the temple or the dishes. Whatever he does not let a single moment pass without devoting his activities to Krishna. Such action is in full samadhi. So yes, from the outside, bhakti sometimes appears to be a little simplistic. These are simple activities. Cleaning the temple, cooking something. Everybody, or hopefully everybody, cleans something and cooks something, because otherwise how can we live in this world? The thing is with Krishna, for one in such Krishna consciousness there are no material activities. I was listening to an interview with Prabhupada. There was a journalist who was, he was very respectful, he was very appreciative, but this was something new to him. And then he was speaking about some other group, or I don't quite remember, and he was a little bit critical. He was saying, well, they're supposed to do spiritual activities, spiritual life, but they have cars and they have money and they have so many things. And then Prabhupada turned to him and said, so, do you know what is spiritual? And then he had to admit he didn't know. So in general we have some idea of the spiritual to be the opposite of the material, and in one sense that is also true. But that doesn't take us any further, doesn't give us more knowledge about what is actually spiritual. So what is spiritual is that existent, that realm where Krishna, he's there, his devotees are there. They are engaging in their spiritual activities. And the difference is not so much the place or the form. The difference is in consciousness. Of course, the difference is also that it is not in this covered by this material energy, that they are not covered in physical bodies that are obscuring their spiritual nature. But they have spiritual nature, spiritual bodies, spiritual personalities, which we can't really to say, we cannot use our imagination to understand that. We have to take that information from Krishna. But for Krishna, it is not such a big difference. The material world is his energy, the spiritual world is his energy, and as soon as that energy is used in his service, then it is spiritualized, then it becomes completely spiritual. So therefore, Bhakti Yoga is not only an easy path, well, comparably easy, of course, because still it's a big step to change your entire identification and your entire motivation in this material world. We're all identifying with our bodies in this material world, and we are all acting for immediate personal gratification or extended. We're trying to make ourselves happy in this body or those around us. Maybe just the family, maybe the nature, maybe all of humanity, but it's still kind of done from this understanding, this identification with the material body. So that is the main difference. I will read text 2 as well, because Arjuna's question had two alternatives there. Those who are engaged properly in the devotional service of Krishna, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested. So I read that one as well, text 3-4. Ye tvaksharam manirdeshyam avyaktang paryupasate sarvatra gamachintyang cha kutastham achalang dhruvam samiyam yendriya gramang sarvatra samabudhayaha te prapnuvanti mam eva sarvabhuta hite rataha. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons, engaged in the welfare of all, at last achieve me. So that's all well and good. At last they achieve Krishna. Of course, we don't know how long that takes. When you go to India and you ask when something is happening, you often get a slightly vague answer, after 1 hour. But nobody ever says how much after 1 hour. So here there is really no guarantee. There is also another risk, and that is if one starts to take to this impersonal process, which is a bona fide process, which is given in the Vedas, but then from that takes it that the personal feature, the bhakti process, is inferior or illusory, and that Krishna himself is illusory, then one puts big stumbling blocks in one's way, because then one misses the point, to say the least, and further actually becomes offensive and rude in one's mentality, which is not a good position for developing spiritual life. Let me read the purport. Those who do not directly worship the Supreme Godhead, Krishna, but who attempt to achieve the same goal by an indirect process, also ultimately achieve the same goal, Sri Krishna. After many births, the man of wisdom seeks refuge in me, knowing that Vasudeva is all. When a person comes to full knowledge of the many births, he surrenders unto Lord Krishna. If one approaches the Godhead by the method mentioned in this verse, he has to control the senses, render service to everyone, and engage in the welfare of all beings. It is inferred that one has to approach Lord Krishna, otherwise there is no perfect realization. Often there is much penance involved before one fully surrenders unto him. In order to perceive the super soul within the individual soul, one has to cease the sensual activities of seeing, hearing, tasting, working, etc. Then one comes to understand that the Supreme Soul is present everywhere. Realizing this, one envies no living entity. He sees no difference between man and animal, because he sees soul only, not the outer covering. But for the common man, this method of impersonal realization is very difficult. So this goes back, we read in the 6th chapter, descriptions of this yoga form, what they require from us, and how, based on our inclination, we can kind of pick and choose in this life. We can also forego the idea of spiritual realization in its entirety, which is not an uncommon course of events in this age. we look around and we see that. But once you take the spiritual life, it is really good to know what you can expect and the recommendation. So in the 6th chapter, yoga is described and explained, and Krishna ends with saying that yogi who is fully devoted to me in his activities, he's the most perfect yogi. So any other yoga method takes you to the perfection of that method, which doesn't mean perfection in and of itself. It's like, well, I'm just pulling my examples out of the air. But if I attain perfection in baking cake, my cake will be so fluffy and still not dry and not wet and not too sweet and not a hint of baking powder in the taste. It's so good. It is the perfect cake. Yes, it's the perfect cake. It is not spiritual perfection. So we perfect the other yoga methods and we get to that level, that point where the yoga method has helped us to fully control our senses, or to fully regulate our karma, or to fully, well, I'm going to say control the senses again, because a jnani and a yogi, they both control the senses, but the process is slightly different. And from that point, no, a jnani actually realizes so much knowledge. From that point, the next step is to turn to Krishna in devotion. So Bhakti yogi doesn't need to do that, because we are welcome. I'm not saying we, the Bhakti yogis, like I am the Bhakti yogi and you are not. I'm saying we, as the human beings, are invited to start off the Bhakti process immediately, and within that Bhakti process, we will also reach knowledge. We will also regulate the senses, regulate the karma. We will also gain spiritual strength and understanding. But it will not be, a separate staircase, and after we reach the top of that, then we have to, do something else. No, it will be a direct process. It's the process Krishna is recommending. After the yoga methods were described in the 6th chapter, and here also when Arjuna asks a direct question, so it's not indirect, it's nothing we need to infer. Arjuna went through the Bhagavad-gita with Krishna, and he asks these questions, and Krishna answers him in a straightforward way. So now we know what to base our decisions on. Because if we don't know, we're going by intuition, we're fumbling a little bit in the dark, and we try our best, and Super Soul from within is trying to encourage us and point us the way, and that's very good. And at that point, we find the Bhagavad-gita, and then we read the Bhagavad-gita. So there's no opposition between being intuitive and being true to one's own heart and accepting knowledge from Krishna, because a sincere seeker in this world, that is what we are looking for. We are looking for who we are, what is the meaning of life, is there a God? And Krishna says, yes, here I am. And now, no need to fumble in the dark. I will give you quite straightforward answers to your questions. So he did that to Arjuna, and he left it all in the Bhagavad-gita for us. And therefore, we say, thank you very much, Krishna. Let us read this Bhagavad-gita and let us take full advantage of utilizing Krishna's instructions for the real perfection in life. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
For watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. Subscribe.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.